You are Locked On Heat Postcast, part of Locked On Sports Miami on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
What is up, Heat fan? Welcome to Heat Postcast on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day. Jim Grieshaber, call me Grease. Forgive me for the hat. Please forgive me. Forgive me for the hat because I have a sty on my eye. Don't cry. There's a sty on your eye. And here comes your mother with those two little guys. And here come, the Miami Heat and the Cleveland Cavaliers. And you kind of knew, I don't want to say that the law of averages would take over or the basketball gods would turn things back in the right direction. But let's face it, last time the Cleveland Cavaliers flew into Miami to play the Heat a little earlier this season, it was on the Saturday night of Art Basel. They flew in about 10 to 11 Eastern time, and they had to play the next night. So, yeah, you might imagine the Miami effect, the South Beach effect, whatever you want to call it, it took hold. It had a role in the outcome of the last game, but that was not to be the case tonight as the Cavs come to town, whoop up on that Miami Heat team without Jimmy Butler, 126-106. Jimmy Butler at this point making a mockery of Pat Riley and the Miami Heat, making funny social media videos about, going out and having his credit card decline because he's not playing. He doesn't have a job. And Jimmy, you do have a job, man. You do have a job. And what you've done and the way that it's been handled by the organization has been a slap in the face to everybody who pays your salary, namely the people who buy the tickets, the jerseys, everything else in that arena, everything else year-round to support the team. And it's unfortunate, and I'm not here to bitch about this, but I just want to say one thing, and that is that the only people who truly lose in this scenario, look, Jimmy Butler's going to get his money. The NBA PA, they're never going to let the Heat not pay him for all the games he's been suspended for. So Jimmy's going to get his money. The Miami Heat, look, they have to pay to the salary cap anyway, and they have to pay what they're already obligated to pay contractually to every player on the team and what have you. That is what it is. The more playoff games the Heat get at home, the better. If they're in a play-in and they get those games at home, and the more playoff games they get at home, the better, which I don't think it'll be any this year, especially without Jimmy Butler, and especially if their asking price is going down like we're seeing. So it would only be, how would I say it? It just is. I don't know. It doesn't make any sense to me. It's hard to put that into words. Anyway, this is Heat Postcast on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day. I had one of those old man brain cramps in the middle of what I was saying. I literally almost forgot what I was talking about, and that is not a good thing to have happen when you're only 53. So I got to make sure I watch that, keep eating my spinach or something. But, Jimmy Butler and the Miami Heat. Look, the only people who lose are the fans. The people who pay the money. And it happens time and time again. And Jimmy's saying, I don't have a job. My card doesn't work. You know what? He walked out of practice when he found out he wasn't starting. He turned his back on this team after the Suns came to town when the Heat were telling him they're not going to give him that extension and the extra, whatever it is, 2 years and $113 million. He acted like a child. Pat Riley dug in. Jimmy acted like more of a child. Riley dug in more. And Spo has basically told the team at this point, and I know this for sure, too bad, just deal with it. And, Jimmy has gotten to the point where he's usurped the authority of Spoelstra and the captain, Bam Adebayo, to where now it's just been Riley and Butler, mano a mano, staring each other down in the situation in a tense standoff. And neither guy really has lost these scenarios in his career. And, but again, who loses here? We do. The fans do. Tonight's episode of Your Heat Postcast is sponsored by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Reminding you that this is Your Heat Postcast. Please smash the subscribe button. Hit the bell so you know when you're coming your way with more content. And, of course, come on in and say what's up in the chat. Got the hat on tonight. Hey, you like the little Locked On? It's like the Carhartt one, too. Nice, but got a little Don't cry. There's a sty on your eye. So I kind of like, no, man, no one's seeing the sty on my eye, man. I'm being like my 15-year-old, soon to be 16-year-old son, vain teenager. But one more thing I want to remind you of is that your favorite podcast has a newsletter. That's right, Locked On Heat podcast, daily newsletter, one stop for ultimate team and league coverage delivered right to your inbox. Sign up for free now, lockedondaily.com. That's lockedondaily.com. Start your day with the all-new free Locked On Heat newsletter on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day. And the Heat, yeah, they drop a bad one tonight. I mean, look, number one team in the East comes in. Donovan Mitchell, the Spider. You know what I'm saying? That's what you got right there. And the Cavs beat the Heat. Let me just pull this down a little bit. There we go. Maybe not quite so much. There we go. Yeah, Spider, Cavs, bite Heat. Because the Spider, Donovan Mitchell, is the guy who got it going tonight for the Cavaliers. And, this dude's dope. You really enjoy watching Donovan Mitchell play the game of basketball. He's been a lot like Damian Lillard for years in Portland, Donovan Mitchell in Utah, and now Cleveland. I mean, look, this guy is playing outside of the spotlight. There's no New York City top media market, no LA 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 Land with the Lakers or even the Clippers with their snazzy new arena. You know what I mean? Denver's had that run lately. And how about Russ Westbrook having a rejuvenation in Denver? But you know what I'm saying? Donovan Mitchell under the radar, laying low. But those in the know, if you know, you know. You know what I'm saying? So Donovan Mitchell, 34 points. Ty Jerome, 20 off the bench. The Cavs never trail. 14 30-point game of the year for Mitchell. Evan Mobley, dope, man, down low. This is, the Heat got worked on the glass. They got worked at points in the paint. Evan Mobley, 22 points, 15 boards. And you know what I'm saying? This interesting. 13 points from Georges Niang, 12 points, 10 boards from Jarrett Allen. They just owned him down low. Tyler Hero, Terry Rozier, 22 points. Terry Rozier sighting. He actually scored some points tonight. This is nice for the Miami Heat, right? Bam Adebayo, 21 points. 1 rebound shy of a double-double, had 9 boards. Bam should be getting 15 a game. I don't want to rip on Bam every show. I feel bad after doing it, but, man, you need more from Bam. He's an Olympian. He's paid like a superstar. He needs to play like a superstar on both ends of the floor and can't be a liability anywhere for this team in any capacity or any facet of the game and make that much money and be counted on that much. I'm sorry. It is what it is. I don't make the rules, and I don't set the criteria for winning in the NBA and how you should pay and play versus the cap, okay? I merely report on what I see, hear, observe, and all those things. Anyway, Duncan Robinson, 13 points for Miami, out-rebounded by 12. The Heat, 47-35. Cleveland, man, they're a good team, Very, very good. They didn't even have Darius Garland tonight, over 21 points a game, almost 22. He's held out to rest. The Heat, 41 points in the whole entire first half. They had 43 in the third quarter, but 41 points in the entire first half. And that they just, when they do not shoot well, this group, and no Jimmy Butler, no one's taking it to the rim. Bam's not a playmaker. And I talked about this ad nauseum, really, before Jimmy started being this version of Jimmy. In that Bam up top with Jimmy slashing and flashing and Tyler styling and profiling with Duncan on the wing. So you have Duncan, the spot-up shooter. You have Tyler, who can be the spot-up shooter, off the dribble shooter, off the screen shooter, or the driver and finisher, or the driver and disher, etc. Jimmy can be all those things as well, although less of a three-point shooter. And it worked, but it doesn't work without Jimmy, obviously. And then getting those bigs in foul trouble, getting them to the line earlier, and putting teams in the penalty earlier. You know what I mean? And it just is the 4th time of the year that Miami never led in a game, and they were going on the road now for 4 games. And that's, a glimpse of the future for Miami tonight. And that is no Jimmy Butler. And now they're saying that the market or the trade demands or criteria for the Heat, what they want in return for Jimmy Butler, has decreased. Well, he's got a player option for next year. So they obviously want to get something for him, maybe get a chip you can use and help you offload somebody else. Maybe you make 2 deals. Maybe you make a multiple team deal. I said on this show, a couple of nights ago, I said a couple of nights ago right here on the show, I said, why not make him sit for the year and just don't play him? He's 35 years old. Let him sit. Suspend him for the rest of the year. Conduct detrimental to the team. Don't let him play. Don't trade him. Make him waste a year at 35. Oh, yeah, Jimmy? Hey, we'll throw whatever we got to do for this year anyway. And what are you going to get back for Jimmy at this point anyhow? Let him sit, man. Let him sit. And if you're another team looking at this and you're thinking of trading for Jimmy Butler, don't you kind of like see him coming in the door and he's like, yo, man, I'm so happy to be here. I can't wait to help you guys win. But you still have that ick taste in your mouth because you watched what he just did in Miami. And oh, by the way, you remember what he did in Minnesota. And oh, by the way, you remember what he did in Chicago. And by the way, you remember what he did in Philadelphia. There's a reason why they kept Ben Simmons and Tobias Harris and not Jimmy Butler. Yeah. Anyway, Heat Postcast, Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Jim Grieshaber, call me Gries, GRIES _ on social media at Jim Gries _ is what it is. And we are free wherever you get your podcasts. And that means Spotify, that means Stitcher, Podbean, that means Apple Podcasts and iHeart, as well as Locked On Sports Miami on the YouTube. Heat Postcast on the Locked On Podcast Network. Coming back on the other side. Box score, who did what, numbers-wise, team stats, and, of course, a little bit later down the line, we have your stars of the game. We have your turning point of the game. And we have final score graphic. Heat Postcast on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. And I merely have one question. I am but one man with but one question, and that is, what time is it? Que hora usted? What time is it? It is game time. Attending NFL playoff games is an unforgettable experience that brings fans together. It inspires you to connect with other fans. When you go to a game, a playoff game especially, right? The atmosphere, it's intense. It's a brotherhood, a sisterhood, a familyhood, and all y'all hood, from the hood, in the hood, about the hood. And the hood being the group of fans for the team. You know, you're all on the same squad. It's one of those things where the whole entire feeling, that connection, the energy, it's so real, man. I've attended and been to so many dope playoff games in the past, and it doesn't matter where you live, where you're from, what neighborhood, how much money you make, male, female. It doesn't matter as long as you're wearing the right colors. And by colors, I mean the color of that team that you root for together, that bond, that experience, man. There is absolutely nothing like it. Well, Game Time now has a feature. It's new. It's called Game Time Picks that makes getting tickets for events even easier. Right? It filters out the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats, so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. And wow, there's some incredible deals right now on Game Time. I recently used Game Time Picks myself to find tickets for an upcoming NFL playoff game. Browsing through the deals was simple. I know, stop it. It's not a Dolphins game. You got to travel sometimes and go to see the playoff games. You're a fan of the sport, not just the team, although you wish the team would get some home playoff games late and maybe even a Super Bowl run. All right, I said it, right? But we found great value, all kinds of seats around the venue. Super deals, especially impressive, offering the best value for the event. The app's features like seat views before you buy, I mean, you're spoiled these days, right? All in pricing, no surprise fees at checkout, makes the experience smooth, makes it reliable. Plus, the on-time ticket delivery and lowest price guarantee, let's be real, gives me peace of mind. So here's what you're going to do and what we always do about this time. Hit it. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use the code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem code LOCKEDONNBA, Locked On NBA for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed with Game Time. On the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Jim Grieshaber, call me Gries, 126-96. The Cavs. I almost said Jazz. Get that? Spida, Donovan Mitchell, longtime Utah Jazz. When you've been doing this for as long as I have, you're like Stockton, Malone. No, but seriously, all those years in Utah and now in Cleveland. And I'd love to interview him and just be like, dude, man, why? Utah and then Cleveland back to back. Why would you play in Utah and then Cleveland back-to-back and not play in a real city. And I mean, I know he really wanted to go to New York and play on the Knicks, and look at the Knicks are playing well right now, and Brunson's starting in the All-Star game, and so is Cat, Karl Anthony Towns. Come on in, boop. And they had a heck of a run to start the year. New York did, and it was not right at the beginning of the season. It was as time went on, they were able to do it. And I don't know, just interesting, this Miami Heat Jimmy Butler saga. I don't really want to talk about it all that much, but it's a shame what happened here. And a lot of people saying that it started right after the Suns came in, and there might be some tampering there. But look, Kevin Durant, we already know he's a ring chaser. We already know he's not that nice of a guy. We already know he doesn't care about any of the organizations that he plays for, only about himself and select few teammates, maybe. And we know that. And Booker's a superstar in this league too, and you know how superstars are. And look, the Suns have not lived up to expectations at all. They got a huge payroll. They got two guys who were on the floor when Steph put France to sleep to win the gold medal, and they can't do anything with it in the NBA. They got Bradley Beal, who is a disaster of a fit, and they, for some reason, the talk has cooled on Bradley Beal, and the Miami Heat do not have any interest in Bradley Beal. Oh, shocker. All right. How could you somehow spin Jimmy Butler into De'Aaron Fox? You can't. Don't even think about it. Not going to happen. So there, all right? I'm a can-do guy. I'm a positive person, and I'm saying, I mean, good luck. Tony Robbins could probably not even spin this the way that it's been happening. But quickly through the box, 34 points for Donovan Mitchell, 5 of 11 from 3, 14 of 23 from the field, 22 points, 15 boards for Evan Mobley, 12 and 10 for Jared Allen, 15 points for Yang, 20 points, 7 boards for Jerome. Off the bench for the Cavs. And how about those Miami Heat not shooting the ball well again tonight? Duncan Robinson, the Dunkmeister, 13 points, 3 of 8 from 3, 3 of 9. Overall, 12 points from Haywood Highsmith, the man starting over Jimmy Butler. One of the reasons Jimmy Butler walked off the practice court. Finding out he's not starting over Haywood Highsmith. Yep, I know. Yep, ego. It's a tremendous thing, isn't it? Bam, Adebayo, 21 points, 9 rebounds for Bam. Again, it should be 30 and 15. And I know I'm being greedy, but you pay him like a star. He's an Olympian. He's the captain. Just doesn't give you enough statistically. He just doesn't do it. I mean, shoot the messenger. Go ahead. But he doesn't. Is what it is, is what it is. Khalil Ware, off night, only had 5 points and 4 rebounds, 3 assists. Not a good night for the 7-1 rookie. Tyler Hero did not play one. In fact, anything but 22 points on 9 of 20 shooting, 4 of 10 from 3, 6 and 5 assists and rebounds. Off the bench, Jovic, 11 points, 3 rebounds, 5 assists. And Terry Rozier finally had a 20-point game. 22 points, 4 assists, 4 rebounds, 8 of 13 field goals, 2 of 6 from 3. And Terry Rozier scores 22 points. I mean, it's about time, right? It's about time he did anything that shows up in the box score, because this guy has done nothing. I mean, remember, he's a 24-point-a-game guy coming from Charlotte when they traded for him, and yeah. So, again, shoot the messenger, if you will. But one more thing that I want to say about Rozier is he's been streaky, but he has not shot the ball well from the perimeter this year. From 3, the 2s, the mid to deep 2s, and the 3s this year have not fallen for Terry Rozier. It's been a bad year for him. And you know what? When you let your opponent shoot the ball 100 times in a game, 100 field goal attempts for Cleveland. Think about that. 54 makes. They shoot 54%. 13 of 42, 31% from 3. Miami, 39 of 83, 47%. 15 of 43, 34.9% from 3. 13 of 15 for the line for Miami. Good job getting to the rim, as always, for the Heat. The Cavs just 5 of 6 there. But the rebounds, 47-35, Cleveland. But the points in the paint, 68-38, Cleveland. But the steals, 10-4, Cleveland. But the turnovers, 14-7, Miami. And that's the one category that you don't want to have more of than your opponent. Yeah. So I sound like L.A. Knight. Yeah. Look it up if you don't know. But if you do know, now you know. And, man, just the largest lead, 22 for the Cavs. Wire to wire. They led wire to wire. And, yeah, they were 5.5-point favorites. Easy cover, 224.5 on the over. Coming through. True blue. Cavs in the over. Getting it done for you tonight. This is Heat Postcast on the Locked On Podcast Network. I'm Jim Grieshaber. Call me Gries, Gries, at Jim Gries _ on social media. Apologize for the hat, although it is pretty snazzy. Locked On, right? But Don't cry, there's a sty on your eye. And here comes your mother with those two little guys. Her mean mother says and steps to me, hi, you need to wear a hat because you have a sty on your eye. Oh, my Lord, what did I just do? Anyway, you get a little Snoop Dogg here on the show. Heat Postcast. Jim Grieshaber, call me Grease. On the other side, we give you the stars of the game. We give you the turning point of the game. We give you the final score graphic, and we talk about the Spurs coming up. De'Aaron Fox wants to go to the Spurs. Who doesn't want to play with Wemby? Can you imagine being a point guard playing with Wemby for the next 10 years at De'Aaron Fox's age? Fox and Wemby. Oh, my Lord. Do not even scare the bejesus. I do not want to see the Spurs go on another dynastic run now or ever. But alas, I digress. Jim Grieshaber, call me Grease, Gries. Wrapping it up on the other side. Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. This is your Heat Postcast 126 to 106. The Heat fall to the Cleveland Cavaliers at home tonight. And now a word from some of our magnificent sponsors with even more magnificent offers for the even more magnificent you. And you. All right, that's where I just had to leave a hole for the audio audience to stick in a couple of commercials there. Jim Grieshaber, call me Grease. Spider, Cavs, bite Heat, right? And it doesn't make sense because spiders, I mean, they bite. They definitely bite. But, you know, when you think of a bite, like a shark bite or a bear bite or a tiger bite or a lion bite, but not a spider bite, but the spider. And yes, I spelled it right. Donovan Mitchell with 34 points, his 13th or 14th 30-plus point game this season. They didn't even need Darius Garland, 21.7 a game. We'll sit him. Miami stinks without Jimmy Butler anyway, and they stunk with him this year, if I'm being real. And look, you're 23-23. You know, you vaulted into sixth place the other night with the win against Orlando, and the reason that you were able to do that is because Detroit lost as well. So you go from 8 to 6, and you're going to flip-flop and flip and all these things. But, you know, just that's the number one team in the East coming in tonight. You beat them once already this year at home. You're 1-1 against them. So, all right, maybe a little house money situation there, but the Jimmy Butler thing has to end now. I joke around, and I've been a hard ass about it, saying, hey, sit him out, suspend him, let him miss the rest of the year at 35. Let him not play with his happy ass. Let him sit home with his happy ass and just not play for the rest of the year. At 35, burn one of the few precious ends of the seasons that he has left. Burn him, sit him. Don't even let him touch a court, right? Hey, you're going to mess up our season, dude. We're going to mess yours up too. Do not play him. Suspend. Let him appeal. Let the Players Association appeal. Who cares? Because by then he'll be 36, and he'll miss one of the most valuable years that he has left in his career, which, by the way, has gone downhill and sunk like a stone anyway. Number of games played, injuries. Pat Riley was right. You weren't on the floor. You weren't. Your team was going up in flames. Your season going up in flames. Your team's going down. You're not on the floor. He was right. You shouldn't be talking. You're not on the floor. Oh, I'm so miffed. I'm upset now. My coach or my GM said this about me, my team president. If you're not on the floor, you should shut your mouth. If you're not in the game and you didn't play, you should shut your mouth, right? Okay. All right. He got upset. His ego got touched. He got a little miffed. Understandable. But then they let a mountain from a molehill happen. And it's unfortunate because, like I said in the beginning of the show, we're the ones who lose. We are the ones who lose when this happens. So they have to get this Butler saga taken care of, because what happens here is it happens all the time in the NFL when you have a number one and a number two receiver, and the number two thinks he's a one because the one's so great and the QB's so great, they make the two look amazing. Alvin Harper in Dallas, for example, when he left to sign the big money deal. And we've seen it time and time again where these number two receivers all of a sudden think they're a number one. But when that number one guy is gone, and all of a sudden the number two has to become a number one. Oh, wait, you're not a number one. Steve Breston in Arizona. You're not a number one. And that was years ago too. Examples I'm thinking of. You're not a number one. You're not. Let Tyreek Hill not play and find out how good Waddle really is. You know what I'm saying? So when Jimmy Butler's out, Bam and Tyler, people are like, oh, Bam and then Tyler are just going to have to take over. It doesn't work that way. They were better because of Jimmy Butler. Without Jimmy Butler, I don't want to say they get exposed, but we see that now when defenses focus on Tyler Hero, he goes 8 for 20 or 9 for 20, and he's not going to score you big buckets in crunch time because they're not going to let him. They are not going to let him, and he's not Anthony Edwards, okay? There's a limit to what Tyler Hero can do when opposing defenses are focused and fixated and locked in and locked on him. What's he going to? He's Tyler Hero. I love him, but what's he going to do? He's not going to be able to find a way, and he's not a great enough playmaker to beat you that way, although he's getting better. I'm not crapping on Tyler as much as I'm just being real. And then Bam is clearly, Bam as an Olympian, I never bought it. I'm sorry, I just didn't. Bam as a captain, cool, but Bam as a superstar, I know he needs to score more. He needs to more rebounds, man. You can't be just getting 8-9 rebounds. He needs more. This team needs more from Bam. I hate to say negative things about Tyler or Bam. I love both those guys. How do you not love everything about them? But they do not have a superstar without Jimmy Butler. And right now they don't have one with him. The best thing that could have happened this year for the Miami Heat, all things considered, all this aside and the circumstances and the way that this has been going down, and if you agree or disagree, whatever, throw it up in the comments. Hit the subscribe if you would. But you know what? Isn't this the best thing for the Heat right now? You get this guy's ass out of here with all the games he's missed the last couple of years, all the money he wants. He wants the extension. He won't have a player option once he's traded. He's gone. So otherwise he would have had a player option for next year, which he almost would have been forced to take with the way that he's been acting like a brat like this. And he knows it. And his agent, they have strategies that go beyond my capabilities. At least I think they do. And I hope for Jimmy's sake they do. But good God, man. Like, don't you want him out of here now? Would you even want him back at this point if you're in that locker room? As a fan, do you want him back? I personally would think you wouldn't. I don't as a fan. If I'm a fan of the Heat, I don't want him back. I don't want Jimmy Butler on my team anymore. I don't want that guy on my team. What he's done to this season, the way that he's acted over that, and then he has a player option for the same amount of money he's making this year. They're still not going to give him the 2-year extension after that. So it just gets worse. But I would love to see them suspend him for the rest of the year, not let him play, and make him lose this year. It's almost like eligibility years at his age. You know, in college, you lose a year, you have 4 years. Well, Butler might only have 4 years left. You might lose a quarter or 20% if he has 5 years left. You lose 20% of that right now if you sit his ass. You ain't playing, bro. You're out for the year. You're suspended without pay, and the union will make you pay him. It'd be great if they could just suspend him the rest of the year and burn this year so Jimmy Butler just wouldn't be allowed. He'd lose like one of the 4 or 5. I'm vindictive, and I know Riley has this side, man. Sit his ass. Jimmy Butler deserves it for what he's done and what he's doing. It just, the word cancer isn't even strong enough for what he's done and what he's doing to this team. It's a damn shame. And Riley did let his ego get a little carried away. I mean, look, with today's athletes, these Z's and alphas, it's very tough to even be Pat Riley in this day and age with these. I don't even want to say. I don't even know what to use to describe them. But I will say this, okay? The tough guy tactics don't work on Jimmy Butler, and Jimmy Butler is a tough guy. When he needs to be, he is a tough guy. He's being a baby this year, but I would love to have the Heat sit him out, suspend him, don't play him the rest of the year, burn your 35-year-old year. You don't get to play in the playoffs, Jimmy, at 35, and how many years left do you have? And of those years, how many years are you guaranteed to go to the playoffs? And of those years that you even go to the playoffs, how are you guaranteed that you're going to be healthy? This could be his last year playing. He could blow out a knee. Sit him. Don't let him play. That would be the best thing that they could do to Jimmy Butler for what he's done to them. But they lose by 20 tonight. You got San Antonio on Saturday on the road. Wemby getting better and better. I mean, the dude's just killing it, right? I mean, he just in 2 years, everything we thought we knew about basketball is about to be destroyed by this kid, just like Ohtani in baseball. It's crazy. So it'll be fun. We'll be here after that one. Spurs, Wemby on Saturday. But as for tonight, look, the Cavs are 38-9 for a reason. Be happy you beat them earlier this year. Be happy they flew in at 10 o'clock at night on a Saturday during Art Basel, and you got that win on a Sunday evening, and the timing was impeccably perfect for you, but not going to happen again. Spida made sure of it. 34 for Donovan Mitchell. The Cavs worked him on the glass. They worked him points in the paint. Miami turning the ball over. Just a disaster without Jimmy, and they were a disaster with him. So they're going to make the playoffs probably, but I think that their price going down for Jimmy, and Who knows what they're going to get back? Maybe they can spin some magic. Riley can one more time. Maybe they can make another deal. Who knows? They've done it before and they've surprised us before. So I have faith in the Godfather as well. That's all there is, Heat fans. There is no more. Your Heat postcast right here on your Wednesday, losing by 20, 126 to 106 to the Cleveland Cavaliers at home. Back on Saturday after the Spurs game right here with another episode of your Heat postcast. Until then, keep your game tight and your mind right, Heat fan. We are out.